Alistair, 2-0 for Rangers over Panathanikos at Ibrox. Mind you, after 20 minutes it could have been 2-0 for Panathanikos if it wasn't for, I thought tonight, the old Jack Butland was back.
I was back to the 2023 version that we fell in love with, rather than the one that fell out of favour, and as a result was dropped by Barry Ferguson at the back end of last season. First save, in fairness, he probably shouldn't be in a position to make the save because the boy should score, but again he's got across his goal very quickly, made the save, and then he's in the block after that as well, after Raskin should probably done a bit better and cleared the ball inside the 6-yard box. But after that initial save, we did fall out the game. I think it was a promising start, some good high intensity football, and it suggested it was going to be a good night. After that, probably for the majority of the remainder of the first half, we weren't really at the races. I don't know whether we were spooked by it or whether it just had a kind of detrimental effect on the mentality of the team. But certainly the second half there was a change. I think I asked the manager if he was tempted to make a change at half time. He said he wasn't. I think there was a lot of people within the stadium that wouldn't have been surprised if there were changes at half time. Kieran Dowell wasn't really affecting the game much on the right hand side. Danilo likewise was pretty isolated through the middle, and push comes to shove, and the young lads just admitted it there. Finlay Curtis probably didn't have the best of first halves either, but the manager's shown faith in his starting 11 at the start of the second half, and he's reaped a very handsome reward as a result of that.
In terms of the overall play, we were talking earlier tonight about some of the guys that had been down at St George's, and they were saying they thought the manager could possibly play this season. 3 at the back, so what did we learn from tonight? Obviously there's going to be tactical changes in the game, but how do you think we're going to set up for the rest of the season?
I think the four was there. Obviously Tavernier at right back, Giga and Suter at centre back, and Aaron's playing arguably out of position at left back. I think he's
he looked a little bit at sea at times, didn't he?
He did very, very well for the second goal, and ironically he did well in the right back position at that time. The midfield three I thought were excellent. Rothwell anchored the midfield very well. I think if MD's going to drop back from midfield and join the 2 centre backs up with Rothwell, I don't see him advancing up the park very much, but he anchored things very well, and that allowed both Diamandi and Raskin to push forward. Raskin in particular second half had a couple of very good chances. Goalkeepers made 2 excellent saves from him. And going forward, you can see Gassama affecting games. You can see him being a player who's going to excite supporters, get them the edge of their seat. Asgard's obviously still got to come in. He's going to have a huge part to play. For me, the concern remains the centre forward position. Danilo's obviously done well pre-season. I think it was 4 goals and 3 assists in the games that we played, but he was very isolated again tonight. Didn't really affect the game too much. You've obviously got Dessers and Igaman that can play in that position as well, but there's uncertainty surrounding their future. But for the most part, it was the manager's first test, and I think he's done well to pass it.
Just a small wee thing I noticed was Joe Rothwell taking corners, and Tav, who I always think is good for a goal from the outside of the box, was way back on his own, in his own half as the kind of last man. Do you think that might be a one-off, or is it an overkill?
I don't know. It's maybe something that we'll see over the season. I mean, it's the first competitive game. We're going to see things. Managers admitted there probably the way the squad's going to be, both in terms of incomings and outgoings over the next 4 or 5, which is going to be significant in terms of the change. We've already seen significant changes. So things like that, we may well see that Tavernier isn't as advanced this season. There was talk from the whole experience at St George's Park as well, that when one full-back goes forward, the other one stays back, and that's something that we haven't necessarily seen, certainly under Gerrard. Both Barisic and Tavernier would push forward, probably in equal measure. But things like other people taking set pieces, it can be a bad thing. With greatest respect to Tavernier, who's very, very good at set pieces. I think there was an element of he was almost monopolising the taking of those set pieces. So if this is going to be a change, then it may well be a positive one.
Focus obviously going to be in the 2 goal scorers for very natural reasons. Finlay Curtis, as I mentioned in the question in the press conference, thought he was under a decent bit of pressure in the first half. Interestingly, Panathanikos sending off the number 2, which was Vangelis or Vanilla. Those were both for fouls on on Curtis, how do you think he did today, first half and second half?
I don't think he affected the game as much as what he could have in the first half, to the extent that had the manager taken him off at half time, I don't think the young lad or indeed anybody would have questioned that decision. But the transformation, the change in him second half, he was much more direct, he was getting the ball, running at defenders, and obviously, as he's done for his goal, he's taken a terrific first touch and then advanced forward. And there are some saying it was a slight deflection, but I think it was heading in that direction anyway. Terrific finish. It can only be good for his confidence, and as I mentioned in the press conference too, that's 2 games at Ibrox this season and 2 goals, so the boy's certainly progressing well.
First competitive game tonight for Joe Rothwell, who I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
How do you think he'll play going forward? I mean, I thought, again, as I mentioned, I thought tonight he was, especially in the first half, he was coming over to give Curtis another option, likewise Nico. But in terms of what you've seen of him in the past, what do you think we can look forward to?
If you look at the recruitment that Russell Martin have done this season, Rothwell kind of bucks the trend in the respect that he's 30 years old. The manager's put much more of an emphasis on youth in terms of his recruitment. It's a Giga at 22 and Asgard at 23. So I think he's brought in Rothwell to add that wee bit of experience, just that sort of older, if 30 years old is classed as an older head, just bringing in the experience of playing, or coming up through the system at Manchester United, playing with Leeds United, playing with Southampton, playing in the Premiership with Bournemouth, and whether that be his position in the team allows someone like Raskin, who can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. Russell Martin had mentioned that he's arguably been doing too much in the team, so if having somebody like Rothwell sitting and playing that more kind of anchor position, that holding position, gives likes of Diamande and Raskin more licence to roam, that can only be a good thing. But the experience that he's had, the clubs that he's played for, there can only be benefit from that experience that he can then pass on to the likes of Finlay Curtis and talk them through games and give them that advice and lift them when, as young Finlay admitted himself, he's had that wee sticky spell first half, and taking advice from someone with that experience can only be beneficial for the squad as a whole. Two
more questions for you. Firstly, well, both goals I thought were great goals, but particularly the second one, sweet move, I mean literally from our own right wing corner position, swept up down one wing, crosses over, bang. We've also got a bit of controversy with Tom Miller pronouncing the name as Gassama. We're Gassama. No, some other people saying Gassam. So in terms of that, how did you, for a debut, it was fairly impressive.
It's 4 minutes, so he's on the park 4 minutes. I think he'd even after his goal, which he's taken superbly well. And again, it's back to this getting the ball and not necessarily looking up and looking to release it, but getting the ball and looking to go at defenders in a position where they're already down to 10 and they're probably tiring at that point as well. So in terms of the timing of the substitution, it's probably, substitutions when you consider that Dessers and Igaman have come at the same time, is perfect. But to receive the ball like he did, and then to have only one thought in his mind, which was to advance forward and get a shot away on a guy that's supposed to play on the left hand side again, managing to finish so well with his right foot, can only be a good thing. But I think instead of Gassama, we'll just short it to gas and we'll probably leave it at that, and then everybody will be able to pronounce it in that sort of manner.
And lastly, I think what we have to look to is the game in Athens, probably going to be played in certainly 30 degree, maybe 40 degree heat, depending on the timings, whatever. Will 2-0 be enough? Because they're not a weak team.
No, I mean, you consider with the hostility of the support across there, heat will be a defining factor as well. We have to be very, very careful if we lose a goal early. We lose a goal within the first 10 minutes, then all of a sudden 2-0 becomes a very precarious advantage. But by the same token, what we can't take away for a squad of players is there's capability there to go across there and score. We don't need to necessarily come out and be gung-ho and all guns blazing, but by the same token, we saw tonight with the second goal how good we are, or how good we can be at counter-attacking. A good productive counter-attack in the first half next week. If we get ourselves into a 3-goal advantage, such that we score first half next week, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to come back in. But it's it's the old cliche in a tie like this, it's half time. I think a third goal tonight may well have made more of a difference in terms of getting into next week and potentially being a bit more comfortable, but I don't think at any stage with a team with the history of Panathanikos and the type of support and level of support that they've got, I would have taken 2-0 at the start. I think a lot of people, when Russell Martin was appointed, with the greatest respect to him, would have taken a 2-0 win tonight, but the tie's by no means over.
So plenty to look forward to.
Indeed.
Thanks.